Alright, so I think that one dilemma that arises with the US's attack on Iran is that it pretty much raises the question of whether or not covert cyber attacks like these are ethical and justified, and I think that they are not through act utilitarianism, just simply because the risk far outweigh the rewards. So basically, this was all part of a big kind of operation called Operation Olympic Games, and this comes from New York Times and Wired. But basically, the aim is to create and employ these cyber attack systems to prevent Iran's development of nuclear weapons, and it's done in conjunction with Israel because we have similar interest in this specific area. But nonetheless, they made this virus called Stuxnet, I think is how you say it, and basically it targets the machines of the Iran nuclear compound that pretty much takes the unenriched uranium and, or I guess more so the mixed uranium, and separates the unenriched from the enriched so that you can isolate the enriched uranium and use it for whatever purposes. I think, we're trying to prevent nuclear weapons use, but nonetheless, it makes it so you can't enrich uranium, and it makes these machines spin so fast that they just destroy themselves. And I think we destroyed 1,000 or so out of 5,000. But anyways, as I was saying, I think this is unethical because, well, first of all, we violated Iran's sovereignty, and this is sure to make them mad, and it'll heighten tensions to the point where counterattack is much more likely, and we're much more vulnerable to a cyber attack such as this, or it's much more likely to happen, I should say. And most importantly, I think more importantly, is that it kind of shows the potential of this kind of attack, because the actual virus, got leaked because, oops, I'm sorry about that. But anyways, the virus was on an employee's computer, and he left the nuclear compound, and it's an isolated network, but the virus, didn't realize that when the computer was connected to the internet, so it just tried to spread to these machines, but it just ended up spreading through the whole internet. So now people have access to this virus, and they can see basically how it's built. And it's really effective because this is kind of one of the first instances of a virus being used to create physical damage rather than just stealing data, and causing computers to crash, etc. But I just think that that's a big threat because, and this comes from the New Yorker, an article by them, and this quote comes from Richard Clark and Robert Naik, but because of its greater dependence on cyber-controlled systems and its inability thus far to create national cyber defenses, the United States is currently far more vulnerable to cyber war than Russia or China. And then also, outside of that quote, but still in the article, Iran is one of 24 plus countries believed to possess an explicit cyber warfare capability akin to America's Cyber Command. Russia is highly effective. China is active and capable. Specialists do not rate the United States as especially dominant on offense, but the country looks strikingly weak on defense. So yeah, I just think it's unethical because it just puts us at much greater risk than we otherwise would have been at.